Welcome back to the original Yappy Hour. I am your host, Meredith Mills Merritt. Today I have with me a fellow beverage entrepreneur, Callie. Callie is a self-described wine lover, turned lightweight after welcoming two great children during the pandemic. After years in the management consulting industry and strategic marketing, she has a passion to bring a new style of drinking to mainstream culture and so created Birdy the Drink, a low and slow 3% ABV canned wine spritzer. Her hobbies include swimming and chit-chatting. Her favorite meal is French fries and a glass of wine, which is legendary, by the way. Callie and I met during our time together in the InvestBev fall of 2025 cohort. As I've mentioned before, we got this podcast started to really highlight the behind the scenes. So often, founders get chosen to tell their success stories and highlights, but what about all the stuff that goes down in between? So I'm extra excited for today's chat. And after all of that, Callie, hi.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Of course. Are you ready to start with your beverage of the week?
I am so ready. I have so much in my basement. I don't know if that happened to you at the beginning, but I still have so much in my basement.
It did, yeah. And now I can hardly get my hands on my own supply. And so the fact that I even have a can next to me is great. So with that, Callie, tell us what we're drinking today.
Well, you're drinking our untouched SKU, which funnily enough, today of all days is being repacked under a new name called Birdy Blanc. One of the many examples I have of, moving quickly and adapting to feedback. We're really excited about Birdy Blanc. So this is just our standard, kind of like our original SKU, just white wine that's been dealcoholized and then slightly carbonated. I think it's really important when we talk about this. One of the struggles I've had in building this is there's a lot of consumer education that needs to happen around, like, is it a wine spritzer? Did you add soda water?
Right.
It's truly just wine that's been through a special machine with our partners ABV technology out of St. Paul, Minnesota. And it literally distills the wine. We get this off-put, and we call it our moonshine. And we're left with this really delicious, easy to drink white wine. And it's interesting for me because it's actually made from a Chardonnay grape. And I'm not a Chardonnay drinker. It's like the last thing I would drink on a menu. But our winemaker, he has shown me the ways, and where we've landed is a very drinkable white wine. So if you're a Chardonnay drinker, if you're a Pinot Gris drinker, if you're a Savvy B gal like me, this one was designed for the wine drinker. Our other SKU that we're not featuring is a pink can, Hibiscus Lime Rosé. And that one was really designed for an RTD palate. So if you're somebody who does go for a High Noon or a White Claw or an Original Southside, and you want just a lighter option, the palette there is meant to kind of reach those consumers. So anyways, that's a whole lot, and I'll pause and let's chat Birdy.
That's why we're here. It's so fun because as a beverage founder, typically when I do these beverage of the weeks, like we kind of just fly through the section, but like it means so much more to us because we're so close to it that we're like, let me tell you everything about what I'm drinking. Like I am a psychopath when it comes to anything beverage now. Transparently, I have obviously had much of this before when I met you last year, but this is seriously, it's so good. Okay, so with that, let's do a little can ASMR and have a sip. Oh my God, it's so crispy. So
Can
good.
I tell you, it just sprayed my computer.
Wait, no, literally me too. So obviously this is your baby. Tell me, when you reach for a Birdy, is it a comfort choice? Is it a coping mechanism? Is it a power move? Like, what are your Birdy occasions?
Oh my gosh, what a question.
So freaking good, by the way.
Oh, you're so kind.
So good.
I'm really excited about the next run. We've tweaked it a little bit, and I think it'll be even better. So I have an occasion answer for the consumer, but just as a founder and kind of why I built it, I love to day drink.
Yeah.
I like to drink during the day when the sun is out. I like to
Yes.
be in bed before 9 p.m. Right.
Same.
And so I wanted something I could reach for that
Yeah.
I could drink, 3 p.m. I'm outside gardening. I love to drink wine, but I can't drink a half a bottle of wine at 3 p.m. on
Right.
a Thursday if I'm outside gardening or something. I have to go pick up the kids from school. I gotta go, like
You
I
have a
have
life.
stuff to do. I have a
Right.
full life,
Right.
and I have a partner who travels a ton. I'm a single parenting a ton. I just don't have a life right now where I can just be drinking as much wine as I want to. So the occasion for me was a product that helped me live my life more authentically.
Yeah. Honestly, With wine too and warm weather, I am speaking exclusively for myself here. First of all, there's no better feeling in the world than, a little wine buzz in the sunshine in the summer. Like serotonin is through the roof. I think we can all agree on that. But it will catch up with you. And if you're not ready and you're not prepared, you better hold on tight. And so what I love about this is, to your point, it's so simple. And also for those of you who are watching this or seeing any of the clips, the other thing that you'll be able to see, which is very rare with an RTD, as I've talked about before, full nutrition panel, full ingredient list, which makes this an exceptionally obvious choice, I think. And even if you are the type of person who is gonna, maybe alternate, like it's a great option for zebra striping. It's a great option for literally anything. And so my last question before we move into it is I typically ask, when did this become your go-to? But before Birdy, were you diluting your wine? Were you doing a DIY spritz? You mentioned that, having a glass of wine has always been your default, but when can you pinpoint wine and these spritzes really becoming, your absolute go-to?
Yeah, I think for me it was turning 30.
Fair.
When we started building this. Also, corresponded to when I became a mom,
Yeah.
and I was nursing my babies, and I couldn't drink a full bottle of wine
Yeah.
before it went kind of skunked in my fridge. And you're waking up every couple of hours, but I still wanted just like a little treat for myself. And my sister-in-law, and who's married to my brother and co-founder, has been drinking white wine spritzes our whole life. And I turned to those at that moment, and I was kind of like, why can't I buy this? Like, I just want to
Yeah.
buy it, make my life easier. I want to take it out on a walk, on a hike, out on the boat. I want to drink it,
Mhm.
when I'm out in the summertime playing tennis. I want to, enjoy one with my friend after we play. And it's very much aligned to kind of the aspirational life of leisure that I don't actually lead, but that I aspire to. And so, yeah, I think that's when it started. And I think for me, there's something really poetic about starting to build something right as I was building my family.
Yeah.
There's a lot there. That might be a whole nother podcast.
No, I love that. So, I mean, honestly, and you can share as much or as little as you'd like, because we'll move into kind of the next section, which I always like to say is, your quote unquote original story. Tell us more about how you got to where you are today with co-founding Birdy the Drink.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really loaded question for me because I'm in a family business, right? I think anyone who's in business with anyone in their family can relate, but it's the best thing I've ever done professionally. I grew up in a very close-knit family. I'm one of 4 kids. We grew up overseas, and Northern Michigan was always kind of considered our American home. And my parents felt very strongly we had strong ties to a place in the United States. So either of my parents grew up there, but my dad's family has been spending summers up there for 6 generations now, and so it was a natural point. If you haven't been there, if anyone's listening, like, highly recommend Traverse City and the surrounding area. It's just so beautiful and special, and to me it's my place, right? It's that place where if I close my eyes and I have to think of a place to calm me down, I think of myself there. And so for me, I wanted to build something during COVID that kept me connected to my family, gave me an excuse to spend more time in the place that I love, and that was really the 2 foundational pieces, right? And then also building something I believed in, that I wanted to see on the shelves. And that was really the formation. I decided I've always kind of played with the idea of building something, and wanting to create. And I'm a problem solver by nature. So this CPG is honestly the last place I thought I'd go, but I'm loving the ride. And I went to my brother and just said, hey, would you be interested in doing this with me? And he said, heck yeah. And so it happened so organically and just really from a place of love and curiosity, and has grown into so much more than that. And I'm just enjoying the ride so much.
I truly feel like that is how the best products get started, because you love them so much and it's just something that you care so deeply for. And so expanding on that, how has it been working with your family? We at the original Southside are largely bootstrapped organization, still majority family. And I know sometimes it's like walking a tightrope. So feel free to share anything else you want to on that.
Yeah, I am very lucky because I come from a very close family.
Right.
We're all very, very tight. We talk on the phone multiple times a week. And my sister's about to move into the house across the street from me in Chicago. Like, we're tight, right? And so I think for me, it's been so interesting to learn the professional side of my siblings and my parents. And it's been so interesting to hear their perspective along the way and as we build. And then there are also times where you have to have difficult conversations, or when someone wants to talk about something, when you're like, I just need an hour to not think about this, because
Right.
when you're building something, it's all you can think about.
Right.
And I'm like, I just need a second to breathe. And typically that will happen at, family gatherings. And so there are times where I have to kind of set a boundary, like, let's talk about this tomorrow or let's talk about this later. But short of that, honestly, it's the best because for me at least, they're who I trust the most.
Yeah.
So it's for me like doing something, I think you might relate to this, founding something and putting it out there in the world can feel extremely isolating and vulnerable at times. And so having my family next to me has made it all possible.
I love that. And to your point, I think the boundary setting thing was the best thing in the world for us. My dad is our chairman of the board, but also my dad. And so he and I, after much trial and error, came to the agreement where whenever we call each other, we say first thing after hello is this is your daughter calling, or this is, your CEO calling her chairman of the
I
board.
love that.
And it sounds so silly, but just saying it explicitly like that, you're able to kind of immediately shift your mindset and your thinking. And you're like, you know what? I actually really don't want to talk about our cap table at Christmas dinner. Like maybe we just calm down. So I love that. I think that's awesome. What was kind of the moment with Birdy where you started to realize, I think I actually really understand how this works? I think we all end up in beverage alcohol expecting not to be. I mean, that's a story that you and I very much have in common. And so when did you kind of start to clock that this was, more than just something that you were thinking would be a good idea and actually started to happen?
Took a lot longer to get there than I thought. I'll tell you that for free.
Same.
I think for me, we did a soft launch last May at a street festival in Lincoln Park. We had our MVP product out there, just like basic product. The labels were printed on, like, it was like a label wrap and not printed on the can. So like very much first product, or I should say second, because our first line of product, half of it kind of tasted like feet. We learned a lot, you move on and now we have something great, but you learn along the way. So by the time we had a product we wanted to get out there, we set up a tent at a street festival in Lincoln Park and we were sold out very, very quickly. And we had a line at our tent and people were really interested. To be fair, it's a lot of people who look like me in my neighborhood, right? Look like me, have my life. So they're my demo and I went directly to them. But that's what really put wind in my sails, was seeing people enjoy the product, walking around with it without me having to like go give them the hard sell. They went to the tent and they bought it. They're like, what, and then I would stop them and be like, what made you buy it? And they were like, well, I love that it's 1 p.m. and I can just drink these all afternoon and still have a nice dinner later, and I'm not gonna roll onto my couch at 5:30. And just watching other people explain it back to me, the value prop, without me having shared anything, that's for me when it clicked of like, oh, this could be a real value add to people, to the consumer. This is an option that could exist and should exist.
Right.
And why not me?
So true. And it's so, fish where the fish are is what they
Exactly.
say. And that is the best way to get the proof of concept. And then you can carry that forward with you. And so I think it's amazing. What in your earlier career or life, we touch on that you were in management consulting and had have a quite strategic background. What do you think helped to shape how you think about brand, marketing, and sales today?
I think I learned a lot about outside in and not inside out, right? And not building in a silo, but the amount of feedback I asked for and took in and threw away some, kept some, but the amount of that, like that cyclical process, and not letting my ego, for lack of a better term, get in the way, and making it as collaborative as possible, making it as diverse as far as the perspectives and opinions coming through the door. I felt that was all coming from my previous life of how you build something to last. And how you build something that people feel attracted to, right? I didn't just build it in my basement, and I went out with the artwork. I went out with the name. We did a lot of testing around every part of the product. And I also think just candidly doing what I did gave me a lot of confidence around being able to do something like this. I saw other people doing this, and it kind of, my dad has this great line that I'll always remember when I first started. He's also the chairman of our board. And he said to me, he's like, Callie, everyone's got a good idea. Literally everyone's got a good idea. The only difference about what's going to happen next for you is if you act on it and if you just do it. And that was really meaningful for me, and just kind of a nice like kick in the pants of, just go for it and do it. And I think my previous life in branding and marketing made me feel confident that I knew kind of A to B. You're finding me at like A to D right now, and I'm very much like out of my comfort zone. But again, loving that part of it. And it's always it's like that's an environment of which I've always been drawn to. So loving that part now.
I could not agree more with everybody has a great idea. It's who executes on it. I had a business school professor who said ideas are worthless. It's those people who execute on the ideas and build them. That's when you start to have value. And it is a really hard truth to hear. But when you operate, I think, like you and I do, you're like, okay, simple next step is to operate on it versus waffling back and forth on should I or shouldn't I. You kind of take that, internalize it, and you're like, okay, I'm off to the races.
Yes, totally. I feel like if I hadn't acted on this, I wouldn't have gotten a good night's sleep since I had the idea. That's just kind of my
Absolutely.
mentality.
Yeah.
I'm like, we gotta go do it. Let's go. I love to just like, I'm like a dog with a bone sometimes, but for better or for worse.
Oh, I think it's great. Was there ever a moment where you like really truly questioned staying in this space and continuing to pursue Birdie the drink? I mean, speaking for myself, I feel like it's a once a week occurrence that I'm like, what did I get myself into?
Yeah, I will say this industry is very different than where I come from
Hmm.
professionally. And so there have definitely been moments where I've been sitting in meetings with manufacturers or co-packers or whoever it is, suppliers of any kind, and they're throwing out all these abbreviations at me. And I'm like taking a note, like on the side, like, oh my God, what does this mean? What is this? Like, and, but also having to pretend like I know what they're talking about because I'm trying to
So
make a
real.
deal with them or like
Yeah.
hire them or and so there's been a lot of googling later on that has happened in my journey here, but I would say it's kind of in those moments where I do feel a little bit of like imposter syndrome creeping in around like what makes you think you know what you're doing here,
Hmm.
but I think along the way the more founders I've connected with, the more at home I feel in trying to build something within the industry of like you don't really have to have all the answers, you just need to be willing to try and learn. For me, that's always where I come out. Every time I mean, again, I too have a lot of moments of like, what have I gotten myself into?
Hmm.
But I always try to counteract that with like, well, tomorrow's a new day. You're learning, you're growing. You'll make a different choice next time. And as we talked about last time we chatted, you make mistakes and you learn from them. I almost feel like I'm at the point now where we've made enough mistakes where I'm kind of like, this is good that we made this mistake now, right? And now we know not to do it next time.
You learn more from failure than you do success. And
Absolutely.
it's the part that nobody really wants to talk about, but super, super, super important. And I think the other thing too is with startups, like we're in business to make money. So sometimes people are so surprised to hear that because it sounds, I'm not going to say gauche, but why else are we doing this? Like, yes, it's a product we love. Yes, it's something we've poured our heart and soul into, but to continue on, to be in business, we have to make money. So the decisions that we make, the feelings that we feel are so complex, especially when payroll is coming out of your back pocket and just the level of uncertainty is overwhelming, especially when you come from backgrounds like ours, yours with management consulting, mine with kind of brand management, bigger budgets, more teams, larger people, more stable organizations. And then you kind of jump into the opposite side. So I think it's all really relevant. And so this is a good transition point into talking more about money, power, decisions. What would you say is something people misunderstand about being a founder?
That I make any money.
So real. You're like, I'm cash poor, equity rich, baby.
Yeah, I'm taking that all the way to the bank.
Yeah.
Uh, it is, I will say, I am very lucky, and my co founder brother, Tad, is a natural fundraiser. And so for me, that has been a huge, huge help, load off for me because we're doing that together. I felt at the beginning very uncomfortable fundraising, especially with family and friends. It's such an awkward and weird thing.
Yeah.
But once I kind of got past that hurdle and it kind of got to the friends and family plus one ring, I felt myself, it was the repetition, but also just the belief was growing. Every time someone invests, you just feel that much more like, oh yeah, like someone else believes,
Yeah.
someone else believes, and you're just going one by one. And so as we got further out on those rings, I started to get more confident in my ability to do it, into why I was doing it. And that just alone, that ability and that confidence makes me feel more powerful. Like it's something I was scared of, and now I'm not scared of it. And anything like that, I feel like is a blessing. So,
I was listening to I think it was the How I Built This with the founder of Whoop, and he was talking about his fundraising experiences and just all the no's that he got and all of the things that he went through. And obviously, Whoop has raised millions and millions and millions of dollars and seen a lot of success. And you hear this over and over and over again, but it's not until you're really in it that you're like, oh my God, I am not alone. I am not on an island. Every single company that has grown and exited and seen success and or failure has had to go through exactly what you and I go through. And there's kind of like this, if you know club associated with it. Like, we have had wonderful fundraising calls. We've had terrible fundraising calls. I have been treated respectfully. I have been treated like it's just, I think it's the price of poker, truly. And you
Yeah,
just
I love
can't,
that.
you can't take it personally. And but it takes a really long time to get to where you and I are. And I think just knowing what you know now makes it inherently more comfortable.
And I think along the way, just to add to that, this feeling of this vulnerable feeling around like, this is my personal product that I'm putting out in the world, the further along you get, the less vulnerable you feel, right, about that stuff. And I think that there's part of this too, for me at least, that really feels like I had to get to a point of, no matter what happens, I'm proud of this.
Yeah.
Of course, like, we would love to make money. We would love to make this bigger. That's the goal. That's what we're aspiring to. But no matter what happens in this journey, whatever mistakes we make, whatever success we have, I always just I put it in my like memory book as like, today was a real learn to be a founder day, because I just had to feel like this is going to be part of my founder story later on. The wine started leaking when it got to our first facility, and things like that. And like, there's a wonderful man named Alex, who's our partner in Minnesota, who drove 3 hours to stop the wine bag from leaking so that we could still go to production. I mean, you have these people along the way, you have these moments along the way, and you're like, what am I doing? Or like, why am I doing this? This is so risky, this is so hard. But then every time you get past it, I think to myself, like, it's just part of my story. It's just part of the bigger story.
Oh yeah, it's literally what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And all of my friends, I joke that, every day in this position, you wake up, you put your retainer in, and you're just ready for the next punch in the face. Like, you don't know when it's coming, you don't know where it's coming, but like, you have this ominous, like, premonition that you're like, it's coming. So you're just prepared. You're just prepared for it now. So I think, no, I relate a bunch to that. On top of this, what would you say has been your biggest surprise in beverage alcohol?
How much fun it is.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
just a joy to it.
Yeah, we're slinging booze.
That's like, I kind of love it. And I love the different personalities. You get every type of person in this industry. And I find that a thrill.
You have a much kinder way of describing that, as I think I would. So so kudos to you that this hasn't killed your soul yet.
I never saw myself in the alcohol space
Yeah.
beyond just being a fan of wine. But here I am. Turns out my love for wine is so strong that I was like, let's go, let's do this.
Obsessed. What's a decision that you made that really changed the trajectory of Birdy?
I would say we had the idea for about 6 months, floating around, thinking about the branding, thinking about what we wanted to have it look like, feel like, all that. And we had this very big problem, which is like, where do we source the wine from? My brother and I had no idea what we were doing. So we started talking to wineries and to different vendors who would sell us wine. And then we had the problem of, well, how long do we have to wait to get a license to be able to distribute wine? All these different pieces were kind of coming to the forefront that we didn't have answers for. Definitely a moment of chaos, I would say, like maybe our first big moment of chaos of like, okay, well, how are we going to get this all done? Then we met our wine partners up in Traverse City, Michigan. There are two brothers, and basically a third brother is the winemaker, the Bonobo Winery, Todd and Carter Oosterhouse, and our wonderful, wonderful winemaker, Cornell. So we met them and we hit it off immediately. We went in there with like our printed pitch deck. We were like, we want to do this. We need to find a supplier for the wine. But we were so pleased when they said, we want to do more than just supply your wine. We want to be in this with you. They became our business partners. So our winemaker is actually on our core team. He's tasting the product. He's approving the product, which is amazing. Otherwise, it would have been me. And I mean, like, I like wine, but I'm not an expert. He's
Right.
truly an expert in quality wine. He's from South Africa. I feel like that really gives him the badge. He knows wine. So meeting them and having that fall into place, we could sell it as soon as we could make it, sort of thing. We didn't have to wait for licensing. And there was so many things that we could just go ahead and do with them, including they own a winery. So they know so much of the TTB. All these things that I would have not even thought of until it was way too late, they were bringing to us, like, what are we going to do about this? How are we going to do this? So they've been incredible partners and also mentors in the space. I felt like it was a part of the puzzle that really needed to come into place before we could really do what we've done. So I think for anybody thinking about starting anything, it really is the people you surround yourself with at the center, like the nucleus of the project.
Yeah.
It needs to be people you trust, people you respect. Otherwise, it's just going to fall apart.
Yeah, and honestly, I love, people who know more than you. Like,
Mm.
hire the right people and let them do their jobs and don't micromanage. And it's okay because someone will know more than you, especially if you're like the two of us going into an industry that we don't know, anything about going in. So I think that's super fair. My last question for you before we move into the next section is how have you thought about your positioning within beverage alcohol from the lens of like an investment strategy versus consumer marketing? Like, what are your and Birdy the Drink's superpowers that have brought those investors to you?
I feel as if Birdy's superpower is an option that doesn't currently exist. Now, partnered with that, as much of a superpower as that is, partnered with that, as I mentioned earlier, is consumer education. Why does this matter? Who's going to buy this? How much liquid are they buying for the amount of, wine they think they're buying, and all this kind of minutia. But I think the superpower truly is, and why people are intrigued, is that they see that it's unlike anything that's currently being sold. So even though it's a very saturated industry, it is an option that gives people a different lifestyle choice. And that's when we kind of like bleeds into the better for you concept that we're also looking into and trying to dive deeper in. And one of those things that we're doing is switching out our preservatives so that we can be even cleaner. And I think that that's why we've been able to raise what we've raised. I think also people see if it's not a product for them, like we had an investor who was like, I don't think I'll ever drink this, but my wife's going to order 4 cases for the summer. Like things like that. I think people, if it's not for them, they see the consumer in the product. They see someone that they know. And the biggest surprise in that has also been, we've had people in their 80s tell us that they've replaced like their nightly cocktail with this. We've
I
had
love
people
that.
in their 20s being like, oh my gosh, now I can go out to baseball games, or I can drink all afternoon
Right.
and keep up with my friends without having to keep up and feeling terrible the next day. And so while we do have a core consumer, we are applicable kind of across the board. And we're not a product for everyone, but for the people that we're the product for, it means a lot. That's where I think our superpower comes to play when people see that when we do the pitch.
Just because Birdy may not have been purchased by an individual when they go on the boat, when they go to their friend's house, when they're talking to other people. They'll try it and they'll be like, you know what, this isn't something I ever thought that I would like, and now they're obsessed with it. And so it's always funny to see how you get all of those people kind of behind you. And to that extent, I know that there are certain drinks that are made with crazy ingredients that my husband Matthew would drink that I would never, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to give him a sip, and it doesn't mean I'm not going to, tell people about it. So I think that's awesome. But the next part that I like to go through talks about, the messy middle, where we just kind of dive into the messes that surround all of us all the time, because it doesn't matter if you're a startup founder or you're, an individual at an organization that's very settled and structured, because there's always something going on. As you know, more often than not, there are plenty of surprises around every corner working in beverage alcohol. But what's a specific moment that did not go according to plan, and how did you handle it?
Gosh, so much to pick from.
Yeah, we could be here all day. It's fine.
I will say, I will preface this by saying I've loved this experience because it's made my skin so much thicker.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking back to what I mentioned earlier, the story where our first shipment to our partners out in Minnesota, the wine bag started leaking.
Oh,
And we get this phone call, like the shipment didn't arrive, it started leaking at the stopover. And I'm sitting in Chicago and I was like, do I get in my SUV and just haul
right.
myself up to St. Paul with some duct tape and see how because that's talk about bootstrapping. That's
Because
what
I
we're
will
doing.
do it.
So
Right.
it's like, I will do it. You want me to go to Minnesota with duct tape? I will go right now. I can be there in 6 hours. I think for me, I panicked.
Mm-hmm.
Panicked hard. Like, oh, this could all be over. And that's the funny thing about building, is that you're on a high 1 second and then something happens. You're like, this could all be taken away.
Right.
This could all just disappear. But we had this amazing partner who drove to the facility, patched everything up so that it could get delivered to them. We lost some product, but it could have been I mean, it could have been devastating to us.
Right.
And what I learned in that was, yes, while I was willing to drive up to Minnesota, I didn't have to. And I could believe in the people I had brought in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was above and beyond. This is not wasn't even just like the right thing to do, but it was above and beyond what he did. I think for me, it just showed, while yes, everything is on me as a founder, this is a collective that we're building. And again, I go back to this concept of like Birdy is a lifestyle we're trying to introduce to people. That's not like slushy day drinking lifestyle. That's just enjoying your life in a way that makes sense for you. So I think about all the moments, all the hairy moments, underbelly moments, as you call it, slinging mud, where you have to just decide in the moment, like, is this worth my emotional capacity or not? Because you have to have a lot of difficult conversations in this line of work that we're doing.
Yeah.
And those are exhausting, those are taxing, and you have a lot of decisions you have to make. And so you have to decide in those moments, like, is this something that's going to derail the whole thing? Do I need to drive to Minnesota? Or is there someone else who can help me? Like, asking for help is not something that comes naturally to me, but something that I've had to do a lot during this. It's just generally made my skin a lot thicker, because I do have perfectionist tendencies. You know, when we got the first can back, and I was like, what the heck? Why is this blurry? I just have to roll with it. You just have to keep going. And so kind of trying to adjust and tailor my emotional response to certain things has served me very well, and it's gotten easier as we've gone along.
In that same vein, what are some of the things, in addition to, getting your first can? And I have that exact same experience, by the way, and learning the difference between direct print and digital print was huge. So yet again, things that you're like, oh, I'm going to be fine. And then you get the end product and you're like, wait a second. What are some things that you stressed about that ended up not mattering in the end?
So much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like much. You sweat all of it. You sweat the small stuff, you sweat the big stuff.
Yeah.
But if you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, it happens.
Yeah.
Maybe not exactly the way you wanted. I would say for me, a big one was the can. Coming from kind of a marketing background, I felt very strongly about the way that this looked and felt in your hand. A slight rebrand coming your way soon.
It's just perfect. Like, it looks so good.
Well, the biggest compliment I received from it was, this looks like it was designed by a woman, which it was, not me. I was a part of it, but we have a wonderful designer who we are so grateful to work with. Right. And I think the branding for me was the big part. And so even now I'm the one on the back end of the website making changes still. Like, I
Same girl.
I want the pink to be right. That's what's hardest for me to let go, is the aesthetic part of this. In the product itself too, like, I want it, if it doesn't taste good, we have nothing. Yeah. And something else that we've had to that's made me sweat and panic is the shelf life. We're trying to figure out how to extend shelf life, because we're in this kind of cyclical production line and we're a very seasonal drink. How do we make sure this still tastes good 7 months after we produce it? Yeah. Because we're still, making first impressions left and right. And so for me, that's something for me that's hard to get over. But there's only so much you can do. There's only so much control I have over how the product tastes 7 months after it's produced. And so there is just some faith that has to go into it, right? Of like, we'll have the next product line, we'll have whatever it is, or we've really figured it out this time with the preservation tactic we're using. But to answer your question, branding and the look and the feel was most important to me when we were building.
What's something that you feel you've had to unlearn as you continue to go through this process?
A lot.
Everything?
I would say I'm also the only, on the team, there's 6 of us on the core team, and I'm the only woman. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely been some learning in that. I love and cherish everyone who I'm working with on this team, but I am the only woman, and I happen to be the youngest. Maybe instead of unlearning, it's learning, instead of being like, who's going to do this, or how are we going to get this done, or like, coming from a corporate structure where you're like thinking about how you can delegate and who can do what and how you can meet the deadline. It's like so much more on me or on someone on the team. So how do you work together in a way that's constructive and collaborative? And we all live in different places. So, there's that added component. So I think there's a lot of unlearning around corporate expectations.
So fair.
For me, when we started bringing in vendors, I was like, why aren't you responding to my email today? Why
oh my God.
In corporate America, for better or for worse, the expectation is that you'll respond to a client's email within 3 hours.
Right.
And so there was this unlearning of, well, people don't care as much about your product as you do.
No.
They just don't, and they're not going to take it as seriously. They're not going to prioritize it in the same way, nor should they. But it was really learning kind of how to interact, how to set expectations that worked in a way for this industry rather than the industry I came from.
I think that's fair. It's always so funny to see how people operate. I think within beverage alcohol specifically, I feel like we've both talked to enough individuals from the founder side, from the investment side, from the consulting side, and it just seems that this specific segment within consumer marches to the beat of its own drum a little bit. And so you really, really have to not only have patience, but also just manage those expectations, which can be really difficult when you're more of a perfectionist or you're used to responding to a client email in 3 hours. You're like, if we're going strictly off of the golden rule, treat others as you want to be treated, we are not in alignment here.
I would add to like not only setting expectations for the people I'm working with and kind of in my universe, but also for myself. I
Yeah.
have to show up in a very different way in this job than I did in my previous jobs.
Yeah.
Unlearning certain things and learning new things to make me more effective has been a huge kind of unlock during
Yeah.
this.
What's something about our industry that you think people should say out loud, but they don't?
Ooh, that's a it's easier than you think to put something in a can.
Yes.
Like at the beginning of this, I was like, oh my God, how am I even going to do this? Where do I even look? Who do I talk to? There are mobile canners. People would literally roll up to the back of my house and can
So
something.
crazy. So
It's
crazy.
and that's why I'm loving the work that you're doing with the Clean Alcohol Initiative or collective, excuse me. It requires more. You know, it raises our expectations. And while people can still roll up and can anything from your garage, hopefully what's being canned is a little bit cleaner. But I would say it's the kind of what's available. There's a lot between
Hmm.
technology, between manufacturing, lots of things that are shiny and exciting. Even this ability to de-alcoholize wine, stuff I just didn't know. There's so much running in the background.
Yeah.
My other big thing I don't know if people totally realize is how many drinks there are.
Oh my gosh. And how the three-tiered system
Oh yeah.
really affects your like ability to even have it's the illusion of choice. You're going to get what the distributors want you to get. And you and I are clawing for that attention. But
Oh yeah.
yeah,
That's such a good one. That's such a good one, Meredith.
I think that's super fair. Like I have like 6 followers on Substack. 5 of them are my mom. And and one of them's you.
You're at 7.
But I recently wrote about this to your point with like you just really don't realize how easy it is to like put literal radioactive garbage in a can and sell it, and the expectation is that consumers are going to buy it because it's Sunny D and it's flavored purple and it's a hard seltzer now. You and I are just like, what in the world is going on? Yeah, I think all of those are fair points.
Yes.
So, last section before we have the fun stuff is all about kind of identity and ego. I like to say, let's face it, we've all got one. Has building Birdy the drink changed how you see yourself?
1000%. No doubt. It has shown me that I'm capable of so much more than I had ever thought. And I can be busier than I ever thought I would be.
So
That,
true.
but still, like, be able to be present. It has shown me I can do harder things. I can have the difficult conversation. I can raise money. I mean, that's a huge one. It's given me so much confidence. No matter where this journey does take me, it has given me so much already and something I'm very proud of. Both the product, but also just how we're building it, who it's made me, how it's pushed me out of my comfort zone. It's been incredible in all those ways. It has changed my life. I mean, by standing in that and, attending the InvestBev this past
Yeah.
fall and the accelerator program, networking with people, just this expansion, it's expanded my aperture of my life
Yeah.
in a way that I'm so grateful for.
That is so beautifully said. What part of your personality would you say makes you really good at this? And what part do you think makes it harder?
I feel like this question shouldn't be so easy as it is for me to answer, but I'm locked and loaded on this one.
Good.
I am. Have you ever done the test to see how extroverted versus introverted you are?
Is that like the ENFJ thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
That's right.
have. I have,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm a 98% extrovert.
Oh, of course you are.
So
Yeah, easy, easy, easy.
easy. That part, I'm like, I can stand on the street and wave at people, like, come try my drink. I can stand
Yeah,
up. You saw me present. My whole ethos is just I'm happy to be here,
which
right?
is
And
amazing.
so I think that for me helps so much and is
Yeah,
such a benefit in this process.
yeah,
I think what kind of makes it harder, more difficult, is I do have high standards for myself and the product.
yeah,
So you feel like you're constantly never like resting. I have a family, I have 2 small kids. So logistically it's challenging. And as much as I want to say like I will never miss this or I'll never miss that, like I truly won't miss my daughter's piano recital. That's just not happening for me. I've had to set some kind of clear boundaries
Yeah.
along the way, which do make it hard. I think, I consider myself young, in my mid 30s, but there are much younger founders than me out there. They don't have a mortgage. They don't have
No.
kids. They're out there able to give it every minute of their time in a way that I just can't. I mean, even the fact that I've had to almost relearn how to use Instagram.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
There's certain things that I feel like just by being in this phase of my life make it easier. Like, I'm already busy, so I might as well build this too. I'm already learning as I go. I have 2 little kids. I wasn't a mom before. I'm learning how to be a mom. And so all of it's happening at the same time is a benefit. But I do think from a building perspective, it can be difficult because I do have to say no to certain things, or say, like, that's not going to work, or I can't commit that much time. But maybe that's a saving grace. Maybe in a couple of years when you ask me the same question, I'll be like, that's what helped me have the sustainability I needed to do this all the way through.
I was gonna say, as someone with no mortgage and no babies right now, I would challenge you to view that as a positive, because I think that it is a pretty slippery slope that can get fairly toxic at times. Like, you don't have the ability to even set boundaries as well as other people, and you also have so many like rich, wonderful things about your life outside of Birdy the drink that make it a little bit easier to be like, you know what, this can wait until tomorrow, or I can delegate this, that, or the other, versus feeling like you have to do everything everywhere all at once, which is what I really struggle with, because I have to tell myself, some days I can't even, I don't know about you, some days I can't even look at my email. I know that sounds ridiculous, but you're like, I have to get so many other things done that if I look at this, I'm gonna get buried here.
Yeah.
Or I want 55 minutes to go to Pilates, and that's not gonna happen if I go down this rabbit hole of what's wrong with our website code. Like, I accidentally, literally yesterday, our website's offline right now because I messed up the DNS code. So like things like that. You're like, great. Anyways, my next question is, do you feel like you can still experience shopping for beverages as a normal person, or are you,
No,
are you always
absolutely
realizing
not.
it?
No, don't be ridiculous. The only thing I will say has changed. Because I have a lot of dietary restrictions. I have a handful of autoimmune disorders that preclude me from eating a lot of things, and I have to keep super low sugar profile, gluten-free like you, dairy-free, lots of other things. For me, this process has shown me that other people are doing this under the same guidelines, and it's helped me try new things. To be honest, like, I probably would have never tried this beautiful can had I not met you, because I don't really drink anything that's not wine. But that has changed through this process. I've met people, I've wanted to try things. People are leaning towards cleaner alcohol and putting together things that people want to put in their bodies. So I'm trying much more than I did before. But as far as the shopping experience goes, I am pretty much, I make so many decisions a day. I don't know if you can relate to that feeling of like, I make so many decisions. I'm going to go in and get the rosé. I always know that I like to drink when we barbecue chicken. But I will say that I have gotten more adventurous. So I will give it that. And I do love looking at the branding. I'll always stop. It takes me longer to shop in the alcohol section because I always want to look at the wraps, the labels, and all that.
When I look for liquor, and it's just anything really in CPG, like when I go to Target, I'm not even shopping. I'm just looking at the assortments. I'm trying to figure out, how long has this been on the planogram? What is that? It's just, once it's so hard to shop like a normal person. And someone a long time ago, before I even started my career in beauty, they were the VP of marketing for a company out in Los Angeles that does fancy water, is what I'll say. And she told me, she's like, you'll never be able to shop ever again once you go into this industry. Like, you'll never be able to look at anything on shelf. And I think that's a gift. It's also, again, it makes it fun. You're like, wow, I'm going to try this. Like, I wouldn't, but I know how hard it is to get on this shelf in front of me and have, a multi-facing.
I know how hard it is to get here. I have a newfound respect for every brand, like at any store that's new, especially.
Yeah.
And I have even more respect when I look at the can. I look at, and they have a nutrition label, and they have all the facts, and they tell me what's in it. I'm way more inclined to try it, and because I know how hard it is to get there. Quick pause on the nutrition panel, because you mentioned it now. One of the things that was difficult for me, it actually has never been 150 calories. That was a misprint on this can.
Oh my God.
Talk about heartbreak. The green can is 93, the pink can is 96.
Okay, love that.
So that's great, and that will be correctly addressed on the new can. I'm very proud of the low glycemic. I have a lot of diabetic friends, and being able to create something that they can enjoy with me is really meaningful.
Huge.
And so I think that's another thing that I just wanted to touch on is we learned after our first production line that we didn't have to have the panel. And I didn't know. I was like, oh my gosh, we just got so much can space back. I started to think to myself, like, wait, no, that's so counter to how I look at products, how I, as a consumer, shop and buy and make those
Right.
decisions. Like, I need to be putting out what I want to take in. And honestly, just woman to woman, like, I really kind of struggled with whether on this new can to put less than 100 calories on the can as a,
Yeah.
part of the value prop. But you'll see it now underneath the rim on the new can. It's like right here. I really struggled. I was like, as women, we're just force fed calorie counting. And I hated that. I hated the idea of adding it. But then I thought to myself, it's not just so much this like skinny culture or beauty culture, however you want to put it, but there is a medicinal reason that a lot of people are counting calories,
Yeah.
including myself. I developed prediabetes after my second child was born. And so,
Yeah.
I think it kind of helped. That process has really helped me rethink the consumer process and what goes into making that choice on the shelf.
It's a double-edged sword for sure. Like for us, because we weren't a low calorie or low carb play,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you can feel like, oh, if I publish this amount of sugar, someone's going to be really deterred. But to your point, it's all about education. I tell people our product has 11 grams of sugar per serving. That's like a banana. Like,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so not that you're going to directly compare an alcoholic beverage to a banana, but people can get caught up on certain things, calories, you name it. It's something that your demographic also cares about largely,
Exactly.
just like
Exactly.
ours cares about seeing what's inside.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an important distinction, and I have no doubt that, you've made the right decision. I think the can looks amazing as it is, and so kudos to you. That's enough of the hard stuff for us. So we're going to move into our rapid fire segment called Sip or Spill. This is typically when I have guests open their South
Say
Side.
less.
Yay!
Let's do it.
Some
Oh,
more
yeah, I love it.
crispy ASMR. I actually have mine poured into a glass with some lemon because I'm like, you know what? Why not? All right. So sip or spill in the name. If you want to answer, you can answer. If you don't want to answer, you can take a sip. So
Oh, I
what's
love it.
what's
I'll probably
something
sip
in
the whole time anyway, but
I mean, honestly, I always encourage people. I'm like, you can, or you can just slug the whole thing and have a really awesome afternoon. So it's up to
that's
you. What's something in Bev Alc that feels like a scam, but everyone plays along with?
that drinking is healthy.
So true. So true. What's a belief you had going into this that now makes you laugh?
Everyone deserves the benefit of the doubt.
What's a brand or product, can be in general or beverage alcohol specific,
Okay.
that feels more hype than substance?
Mmm. I'm having a hard time answering this just because I'm thinking through all the kind of like controversial new products, like my LED face mask that I love, and people are like, it doesn't do anything. I'm like, well, I have a year of using it that would show you otherwise.
No, those are actually amazing.
Those are great.
I'm on board.
I'm on board. Like even poppy soda, I think like, people get some hate sometimes, like bringing soda back, and is it really healthy? And it's delicious.
Poppy
It's
rocks.
delicious. It rocks. And
Yeah.
like I think for me too, part of building something has given me more appreciation for what people are building. So I think it's
One,
hard for me to answer that question now that I'm in this seat.
but that's such a beautiful answer in and of itself that I'm going to keep it. We're going to move on to the next one. So, what's a trend that you hate?
I have two parts to this answer. This is not the rapid fire you were expecting.
No, I love it.
What are those milk jugs full of alcohol that people drink now?
Borgs.
Gourds.
Borgs. The young
First of
people are
all,
Borgs.
this is a those in glass houses. However, I now, as a parent living in Chicago on St. Patrick's Day, I saw all these green Borgs on the city, on the train,
Oh,
everywhere. At 24, would I have had one?
sure.
100%. Did I drink those
100%.
when I was in college? 1,000%.
Yeah.
Like, but now sitting where I sit and just where I am in my life, I look at that and I'm like, that is a poor choice. I cannot get on board with this.
What's your most chaotic founder decision that somehow worked?
Our can before getting the product secondary tested.
Obsessed. I've been
No
there.
one, like the calorie count, for example, people weren't really that focused on it. They would ask, and then not because they didn't know it was on the back of the can. Then I would say that it was marked incorrectly, but it was just kind of worked out. People were just like excited to try it, excited to use it, and I think there's part of back to the nutrition label thing. There's a little bit of something I feel is important. People think of the low alcohol and think that everything's low,
Right.
which is true. It's low sugar, low calorie, but like I did feel like it was really important to not make assumptions. I don't want consumers to have to make assumptions.
Absolutely. What's something you're tired of pretending to like?
Oh man. This is hard. This is hard for like the constant optimist like myself.
Which, like, kudos to you for that.
Flying. I don't like to fly.
I don't either. I used to love it.
Here's the
What's
thing. I
going on?
love to travel, hate to fly.
That's super fair. What's something that instantly reads as trying too hard when you meet other founders, investors, etc.?
I think there's a lot of power in just being transparent about where you are in your journey.
Mm-hmm.
I really take issue with founders who try to present themselves as further along than they actually are, more experienced than they actually are. I think authenticity is everything in this. And at least I've found a lot of power both in the investment space, in the creation space, in the networking of just, this is who I am, this is what I bring to the table, this is my product.
Yeah.
And not trying to inflate the facts, inflate the story. It really bugs me when I come across those people, because I'm like, you're insinuating you have nothing left to learn, or you're insinuating that you have no time for me, or you know what I mean? It's like part of why people build is you're on this path of learning and being curious. And so when you meet a founder who's not those things, I kind of get a bad taste in my mouth.
100%. Or they're too busy to give you, 5 to 10 minutes. I think that is always so funny to see. I'm like, okay, you're the busiest person in the world. Okay, last question for you here is outside of Birdy, what's your go-to I'm off the clock drink?
I'll say right now, I don't know if it will be forever, but right now I'm really into the nowadays cannabis drink.
Yes.
I really love it.
So good.
I buy it plain from the grocery store and I mix it with a spindrift over ice. It's delicious. It is delicious.
I've seen people on the internet make like Shirley Temples and things with it, and I'm like, I'm super here for that. So, in closing, we keep these questions the same for all of our guests, and I'm so excited to hear your answer. So, give us your current sweet and sour. So, think rose and thorn in your personal life right now.
My sweet and sour, I like that. My sweet is that doing this allows me so much professional fulfillment while also being able to set my schedule so I can be the parent I want to be. So I feel like that's something at the core of this that really keeps me going and will always be my sweet.
Yeah.
My sour is that I don't love an uncertainty. Like it's something I've been to therapy for. It's like it's uncertainty and I don't really like get along.
Yeah.
There's a lot of uncertainty in building something. So I have to kind of on a daily basis identify the uncertainty, like acknowledge it, honor it, do all the stuff that you're supposed to do, and just like keep it where it is. But that is typically my sour. I'm like, well, like what you were saying earlier, like what fresh hell will today bring in this process? I don't know, but I'm here for it, And so the uncertainty has a place, but I can't let it run the show. So that's my sour. Maybe it's a little like too macro, too spiritual, but that's what I got.
No, I feel you so deeply that we'd spend another hour talking about it. So, who is your dream, living or dead, happy hour guest?
I'm gonna have to go with Judy Garland.
Obsessed. What's your favorite bar snack or cocktail menu hors d'oeuvre?
Oh, I love an olive. If I'm at a bar, I'm a dirty martini drinker. I love a dirty martini. I can't have dairy, so I have the saltiest green olives. Those are delicious. But I also love, let's call it what it is, a corn nut. But when they like make it all fancy, when they put it in the dish with the different herbs and the seasoning, but it's just a corn nut. I'm like, give me 10 of these.
It's
I don't
literally
want
perfect.
Yeah,
And then like they'll like zhuzh them up with like the little silver dish, and you're like, this is living.
Yes, I'm like, I'm here for it. When in reality, they probably just bought some corn nuts and seasoned them, which is fine by me.
Smart. Last one is finish this sentence. I am happiest when
I'm at the beach with my family.
Excellent. No notes. Callie, thank you so much for coming. For those of you listening who want to learn more about Callie and Birdy the Drink, you can find them on Instagram at Birdy the Drink. Until next week, thanks for yapping.
Thank you.